Hello, Ectosage here on the Sage channel, and what you're seeing right now is the collapse of the mega tower I made in Medieval Engineers ages ago. It's a large tower I built with creative mode and with structural integrity turned off, and ever since I put out that video, probably getting close to a year ago now I think about it, people have been asking to see the building collapse. So the other day, I finally went ahead and started up the game, started recording, stuck the camera there, and waited 5.5 hours. This is that footage of me waiting those 5.5 hours. I have another computer and other screens. I also alt-tabbed, so that's why you're seeing my mouse run about all over the place, that's me clicking on other screens and stuff. Even though Space Engineers and Medieval Engineers don't seem to record my mouse when I'm actually in-game, they record it when I'm alt-tabbed, so you'll see that. But there you go, you can actually see, finally, this bloody, strange tower collapse. I have tried to record this in the past, with, well, no luck, honestly. I've run into a lot of issues in the past where, well, it would just sit there forever, or it would actually reach a point where it would actually stop lagging, the simulation speed would drop to normal speeds. This was actually, you know, super slow. That's why I've had to speed up the footage so much. Like I said, this was 5.5 hours of recording right here, what you're watching. And right about now, the top does indeed fall. You'll see it sort of snags before, well, it seems to zoom towards the ground super fast. It's because for a while there it was not having such sim speed issues. I'm figuring the reason that it sort of snagged for a second was simply that all the furniture seems to want to stay up there. Now what you're seeing again is I'm replaying it, except for this time, instead of it being 20,000 times speed, it's only about 10,000 speed. So you can see at the bottom, it starts out with just sort of the pressure cracking, putting these cracks, almost like somebody trying to cut down a tree. And you also see parts falling from the top up there, where the main tower connects to the living section at the very top. And you know why. You've seen what happens, the whole thing falls. And it's really kind of interesting that you keep seeing more and more pieces shoot off from the top every now and again. A little hard to see on this. But then at the bottom, eventually it reaches sort of this breaking point where it's like, okay, the top is free, the whole building can sway, and you'll see this crack go all the way across the bottom where it seems to separate itself. There, you can see a little bit of sway if you watch the top right there. It feels like the building's starting to sway or something. Weird. Very odd. I've also cut and shifted the footage here a little bit, so it's not all going to be the same speed. Because this was actually a very long time of just nothing, and then a few pieces falling. And there we go, you can see the crack is now making its way from left to right. Ooh, there's that sort of drop there where all of a sudden the whole thing drops. And at this point it's separated from the top and separated from the bottom. And it almost sort of crushes its way down the pillar base. It's very interesting. It's almost like, well, a building or even some sort of weird tree almost, where the bottom just starts splintering out and disintegrating. Very interesting. And in a moment here, it gets to sort of that other crack that was at the bottom pillar here, and it's going to have a little bit, yep, right there, there was a little bit more of a fall, and that's when the whole thing starts to tilt off to the side. You can see it coming free from the main structure now. And it comes down, sort of smashes its way through the rest of the base, hits the ground, and then instead of it just like falling flat onto the side, it does this very strange, well, I didn't expect it, but it's like it's falling straight down now. Like, as soon as it hit the ground, it lost all of its sideways momentum it had gotten from breaking free and falling to its side, and now it's just going straight down. Of course, it's going straight down, but the structure is angled, so straight down, up and down doesn't look quite straight up and down. And it slowly makes its way across, and slowly breaks away. It almost looks like it's going into the ground, but I did do a check later on, and I don't think it went into the ground at all. It's just simply being destroyed. It's a very odd thing to see, the way it'll sometimes jump a little bit too, like right there. You see the blocks are breaking, and a big one breaks, and it just sort of falls a whole block's length. A very odd sight to see. Oh, jeez, did you see that brazier go flying by? Some of the things that broke free from the tower or the top of the tower, like if you look at the top of the tower now, you can see it's just raining stuff out of it. That's because, as I mentioned earlier, I believe the tower was mainly being held up by a bunch of furniture that for some reason seems to have gotten stuck in space. It does not want to move. So the whole top of the tower wants to fall, but it's being snagged on those things. And instead of it being crushed against the ground, now it's basically holding onto the top, and those chairs and stuff are tearing their way through the top part of the building. And in a moment, you can see a little bit of a sway, and a few more pieces pop free now. And in a moment here, oh, it's swaying even more now, I think. Yep, there we go. It breaks free and starts its descent. Now, I've slowed and tweaked this footage a little bit, so it's not exactly 10,000 times the speed. Look at that. You can see all the bits at the top are what's breaking free. And then it makes its impact very strangely on the bottom's ground structure and sort of settles in a little bit. A very, very odd sight to see. Now, I do have one more replay of it here, and this is basically like 1600% speed. So it's maybe closer to what you'd expect in reality to see this building fall. And it lets out the first bit of it just losing pieces. It just shoots down there. I didn't tweak the speed on that. Completely nutty. Completely nutty. Anyway, I do have a few more shots here that are just looking at what's left of it, because you can see how it was torn up. Oh, and this, which is basically it running at normal speed. This is what I saw for 5.5 hours, basically. That's why I ended up being alt-tabbed an awful lot. Is that's actually the normal speed. That's no speed increase. I think that's one of the quicker parts. Anyway, here is what we had after it all. This is actually the only part of the main tower part left. And actually you can see that because of that outcropping at the bottom there, this was actually right at the top. This was that top section. That's one of those stairs that led up to sort of dining areas or monks' scribe areas or whatever. It's like the only part of that huge tower that survived. In the old days we used to have all these blocks that remained in this game, but the devs have changed that to, well, cut down on lag and stuff, because you'd have a mountain of FPS and simulation speed lag if you had all those. You can see this footage might be a little bit jumpy though. This one isn't sped up too much. Some of these will be sped up a little bit, but the game, even though not much was moving, this building in front of us right there was actually still settling into the ground a little bit. And what I mean by settling in isn't like it was sinking through the ground, it was actually, you know, breaking a little bit still. So you might see dust pockets or something every now and again. And you can see that the top part of the living section is pretty much destroyed. Like, there's a whole 2-3 floors that are just annihilated. Like, all the storage area that was up there, the sort of wealthier living area in the top, like, overlook sections, completely missing pretty much. And there's even a few strange hovering bits that are somehow magically connected to one another. Very odd. And then we can, just another pan past. This is so you can see how it did sink into the ground down here and end up being destroyed from the fall partially, and so you can get a better look at the bottom side of like all those floating pieces. You also can see there's a lot of stuff on the ground out here, so a fair few things did get thrown down here. I'll show you in a second that there's still quite a few that did just stick up in the sky though. There you can see a little smoke puff there. A few of them, so still some trouble going on. Look at this though, the devastation that was wrought on the top of this thing is insane. This footage here is slightly accelerated, by the way. That's why it looks maybe a little bit smoother. I love this shot, because you can see how the top is connected. It's basically going across and going up and down that 1B1 that was on the left in the center now. Such a nutty thing. It's pretty amazing to see it sitting here. If it did settle, you could almost imagine just living in the ruins of this thing. Like, I have no idea what it was. Here's an inside shot, though. You can see that, it does look like a ruined castle. You get the tiny bit of the stairwell right here in front of us. You'd almost mention platforming up that. You get little bits of a room in front of us, or at least behind it from where we're standing. Something else. It looks like something out of a game. Like your standard not build your own game, but like a, I don't know, FPS game or something like that. Jesus, the amount of look at the floorboards, the way they're all chopped up like a jumping puzzle or something. This is what it looks like from afar, of course. So very strange to think that tower just gets turned into just these two little tiny pieces. That's it. Very, very odd. Of course, this game was never built for the destruction of things so big. By the way, here we are. This is at the very top in the world. These are all the little pieces of furniture and whatnot that just decided, you know what, we're going to stay up here. We're not moving. Anyway, guys, that is that. Thanks a bunch for watching. I hope you found this interesting. It took a hell of a lot of time to get done. And I shall see you guys and gals next time. Ta-ta.